Welcome to the biggest episode of a very kooky countdown ever. It's big, massive, humongous, full of big, huge things. Stick around and you're sure to be surprised. Welcome to this huge episode of a very kooky countdown. Firstly, at number 10 on the show, we've seen all those massive boxes of popcorn people buy at the theatre, but this is ridiculous. Suspended from a crane in a park near London's Tower Bridge was the world's largest bucket of popcorn. Yes, it's full of popcorn. And there she goes! Popcorn, anyone? There's plenty to go round. Movie lovers turned out to get their piece of the action when a mobile phone company held a competition to mark its 5th anniversary by encouraging people to visit a local cinema and grab a 2-for-1 price cinema ticket. It sure seems like they went to a lot of trouble for this promotion. There were some big prizes up for grabs, with 100 lucky winners eager to scoop up prizes ranging from cinema tickets, mobile phones, and a romantic weekend in Paris. Ooh la la! One of the contestants, Mark Falter, bagged the biggest prize of the day with a private drinks party and a screening of the new Star Trek movie for him and 50 friends. Plus the use of a limousine and a central London apartment for the evening. Not bad for rummaging around in a big pile of popcorn.
The first thing I did after opening a little orange egg here was I see the congratulations, I see Star Trek after it. I went, wow, dazzled. It was completely out of this world, really was. Fantastic.
The giant bucket held more than a ton of popcorn and was almost enough to get through James Cameron's film Titanic. At number 9 on the countdown is a story that will really leave a sour taste in your mouth. In a small village in Cyprus, the normal-looking lemon trees are producing some of the biggest fruit ever seen. Some of the lemons are as heavy as 2 kilograms and are the size of a child's head. That doesn't look like my child's head. The owner of the giant lemon-producing trees said her neighbour gave her a branch from a lemon tree to graft. Fruit grown from the tree has been of an exceptionally large size.
This lemon is from the neighbouring orchard, which is a normal lemon, and this lemon is from the specific orchard.
Andrula's neighbour also grafted a branch off the same lemon tree to one of his and had similar results with his tree also producing giant lemons.
My brother-in-law bought me a lemon branch and asked me to plant it. As you can see, these lemons were the result. He told me it would make big lemons, but I never believed they would be that big. Of course, there's nothing suspicious about it. I believe it must just be their type. The difference of a regular lemon with this one is that if you cut a regular lemon before it ripens, it will have juice inside. If you cut this before it ripens, there is no juice.
When I first saw them with my eyes, I couldn't believe that it was possible that they could turn out so huge. These lemons are totally natural. They have great juice, a nice peel, they are not bitter, and make great candied fruit.
With lemon trees in both backyards producing such giant fruit, a few people started asking some curly questions. But both neighbours declare they have not used any chemicals on the trees. They also claim they are organically grown, like the other trees in their yards. There must be something in the water here because some of the other villagers have also produced lemons of similar size, weighing anything from 1.5 to as much as 2.5 kilograms. Now there's some big lemons. Art can be many things, and this story proves it. At number 8 on this episode of A Very Kooky Countdown, Artist Yakov Agram has painted a 39-metre-high building in an attempt to enter the Guinness Book of World Records by creating the largest artwork in the world. The location is Tel Aviv, the capital of Israel, and the 13-storey building certainly catches everyone's attention, with 52 different colours used in its mural. It took the artist 5 years to paint every corner, every patio, above and below, and it was painted in a multitude of rainbow colours. Although this art is a visual thing, Agram was inspired by music.
I change colour, shape and rhythm in time and create a visual music. If you see here, every sound, every colour and every shape are exactly intervalled like in music. You can play and it's play in your eyes as a visual music. They can read and play a visual music, and a visual orchestration of the whole thing is the different themes and instruments arrive. Here you can see like a piccolo, here you can see the bass or a violin, and the color that appear and disappear in different intervals that makes it all together like an orchestration of visual music.
The building, called Hebrew, which means lake, now aims to break the world record for the largest painting ever, with a total of 33,000 square metres of painted surface.
Well, I think the best way to describe it is that neither myself nor the other tenants can stay indifferent living in a project, such a great art project that we all know is supposed to get into the Guinness Book of Records as the largest art project in the world. It gives a whole atmosphere of culture into the building. It gives a lot of attention from people going by. The tenants can stay indifferent. Some of them don't like it so much, but I'm sure they all appreciate it, knowing that such a unique project is very rare around the world, and I don't believe there are that many of them.
While most tenants seem to like the giant artwork, for the artist Agram, it's not a one-way street. He likes to create art that pushes the boundaries and has been doing so for the past 40 years.
And I consider this work as maybe the biggest artwork in the world, as an expression, and as an artwork and not a decoration.
Some would say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Welcome back to a very kooky countdown, where this time we're counting down the 10 biggest and kookiest things we could find for this show. At number 7, this monster marionette has been entertaining young and old in the Portuguese town of Torres Vedras. The 10-metre-tall Santa Claus puppet is hoping to make its way into the Guinness Book of World Records. Well, his creator is hoping. The puppet is happy just hanging around having his strings pulled. Children can jump into the cabin and grab the controls of the puppet, which moves Santa's arms and legs. The giant Santa is made from a huge amount of materials too, including 220 metal tubes, 30 square metres of polystyrene foam, 400 square metres of fibre, 3 litres of polyester resin, 200 kilograms of polyester cement, and a massive 150 litres of paint, mostly red. The mastermind behind this giant Santa Claus puppet said that it's not just a children's toy. Grown-ups can have just as much fun with it. The hardest part is getting the adults off the controls and giving the kids a turn.
It's a new concept, a new idea, and the people are very funny when play with the Santa Claus. And this it's not only for the kids. Everybody playing. My grandmother playing with the Santa Claus. The little children play, and everybody is happy with.
The Guinness Book of World Records has been contacted by the local council, and they're just waiting for a representative to turn up and give them the title. Street directions given to the representative were fairly easy to follow. Just come into town, turn right, go down the main street, and you can't miss the giant red puppet. Christmas seems to be an inspiration for all things massive, with many cities around the world erecting giant Christmas trees. At number 6 on our huge show, this giant kite needed a massive crowd and a huge amount of wind if it was ever going to take to the skies. Hundreds of people gathered on the outskirts of Tokyo in Japan to attempt to launch this 800-kilogram kite made from bamboo and paper. The 15 by 11 metre monster kite was the highlight of a 2-day kite festival. It was incredibly impressive, wasn't it? It looked like it was about to collapse, but it rose up in the air. We all started clapping our hands. That sure is impressive. The event dates back to the mid-1800s and celebrates Japan's tradition of making bamboo and paper kites. With the importing of newer and cheaper kites, there is a small group of kite aficionados hoping to keep this event going. Our big show continues at number 5 with this massive bullock that has been dubbed the beefiest bullock in the world. And for that, he's become a major attraction in his small UK town. And that's no bull. For farmer Arthur Duckett and his helpers, the Colonel, as they call him, has one massive mouth to feed. It takes a lot of food to fill this guy up. Standing at 6 feet 5 inches, Arthur believes that the Colonel's 1.65-tonne body makes him the beefiest bullock in the world. In comparison, the bullock is heavier than a BMW and as big as a small elephant. And when you think about it, if you like burgers, he's an awful lot of those. On Arthur's farm at Somerset in the UK, the Colonel has become a star attraction with people coming from far and wide to take a glance at this load of big bull.
He eats, at this time of the year, about a bale of hay a day. He eats 4 or 5 fodder beet. He has a bucket, which you saw probably earlier, the yellow bucket. He has 3 parts of that twice a day. That consists of oats, maize, a mixture of animal food.
Arthur brought the Colonel a Simmental Holstein bullock 6 years ago and has been watching him pile on the pounds ever since. For Arthur, he just can't believe how big this guy has grown.
We discovered that he's 1,660 kilo. That's almost 1 3/4 tons, which is quite large.
The big Colonel lives on a diet that consists of a mixture of hay, oats, barley and nuts. He's a bit of a health fanatic by the sound of it. The previous record for the biggest steer was held by an American animal who died in Indiana in 1910. Old Ben, as he was known, recorded a whopping 2.1 tonnes. For the record, the Colonel is staying put as a tourist attraction and won't be used to feed the town. As we continue the countdown, this next story threatens to clean up and take the #1 spot. But no, not this time. As part of the marketing for a new Vaseline 200-gram bar of soap, manufacturers decided to try and get another one of their bars of soap into the Guinness Book of World Records. The bar of soap they put up for the record weighed a massive 12.5 tonnes. After the record was ticked off, the big bar went on a national tour of South African shopping centres. The bar was unveiled in Durban after months of preparation, drying and carving to create the biggest bar of soap in the world.
Making a 12.5-tonne bar proved to be quite a challenge. We started off by pouring hot soap at 100 degrees Celsius into a huge crate. That soap had to wait for about 10 days to cool down before it was ready to be carved into its final shape.
The Vaseline Big Bar was expertly carved to scale by a team of ice sculptors to the same size and shape of the new 200-gram version. Even the factory had to be modified to accommodate it.
The factory, as you can imagine, are very proud of making this and achieving the Guinness World Record. So we're going to keep it at the factory as a trophy for a year perhaps. Following that, the equivalent of this soap, so 12.5 tons, will be donated to hygiene-related causes which Vaseline are part of, teaching rural areas the importance of washing their hands to prevent the spread of disease. So we'll be donating soap to that campaign.
Experts have estimated that if one person used this bar of soap, it would take about 50 years before you'd have to put soap on the shopping list again. Christmas time in Germany, and in this historic city of Dresden, there's an unusual tradition that the locals partake in each year. While most enjoy a slice of Christmas cake during the festive season, this town rallies behind its bakers as they create a humongous Christmas cake called a Stollen to share with everyone. The cake weighs a whopping 3.3 tonnes, and after an official presentation, it's sliced up and sold to the locals. This is one town where the residents don't have to worry about making their own Christmas cake each year, with this cake offering plenty for everyone. The cake arrives on a horse-drawn carriage as tens of thousands of onlookers crowd the local square, waiting for their slice of the action. After the official Stollen procession, where the town applauds the city's bakers and pastry chefs and all who contributed to the cake, the Stollen is cut by the head baker. He cuts it up into pieces around 500 grams each in weight with a giant 1.2 metre long silver-plated Stollen knife. This year's Stollen cake took more than a month to make and measured 4.35 metres in length, 1.78 metres in width, and it contained 1 tonne of flour, 2.6 million raisins and 74 litres of rum. It weighed 2 tonnes and took 60 bakers to prepare. The bakers and locals are very proud of the Dresden Stollen, saying it's a real delicacy. The special thing about this cake is that it was baked in Dresden, making it a Dresden Stollen, made with love and according to old recipes. The head baker issues a recipe proposal, and each baker, contributing to the cake, then bakes his individual cake in a way that everybody likes it. These German bakers really show off how well they work together as a team on this project. The Dresden Stollen is a delicacy. Other regions also produce Stollen, and people buy it in their area. But Dresden is the stronghold of Stollen. The town is very proud of its Stollen, and visitors that turned out were able to purchase a slice with some of the profits going towards charity.
Dresden Stollen is simply delicious, matched by no other. Only Dresden bakes the original Stollen. We bought a piece, the proceeds of which go to charity, and we are from Dresden. The
Dresden market, where the cake was presented, has been held annually since 1434. From Christmas to Easter now, and number 2 on the countdown goes to the world's biggest chocolate Easter egg. Yum! It's official, the biggest chocolate Easter egg in the world comes from Belgium, the country renowned for its fine chocolate-making skills. Hundreds gathered at a small town to the north of Brussels to admire the egg, a record-breaking 8.32 metres high by 6.39 metres wide. 3,000 school children took time off school to visit the sculpture, and for many it was a dream come true. It's really big and it weighs a hell of a lot. Chocolate maker Gullian was behind the production of this oversized egg.
But we're lucky this year, we got an Easter very early in March rather than the traditional Easter later in April. So nature's been the biggest challenge. Obviously, an egg of that size was quite a challenge in terms of a technical point of view, the infrastructure inside it, holding it together. But we had a couple of months to work on that to make sure that it would be solid and it wouldn't get blown over by a sudden wind or something.
The giant tasty treat took 26 master chocolate makers 2 weeks to create it, and they used almost 2 tons of chocolate. Our #1 spot on this episode of A Very Kooky Countdown goes to... What's this? This music doesn't sound right. Something terrible's happened here. That's exactly what the residents of Santiago, Chile thought when they woke to find this scene of devastation right outside the presidential palace. A rhinoceros was here and it grabbed all the buses and threw them all over there. It destroyed everything. And I think they're getting a girl who will come here and save us all. At first glance, it looked like a terrible accident or the aftermath of a street riot. But no, the story was that a rhino was here and a little girl giant had saved the town. Almost 100,000 Chileans lined the streets to see this little girl giant next door wander the streets at a massive 7.5 metres tall. As part of this event, she spent 4 days wandering around Santiago in search of the runaway rhino. It was all part of the annual theatre festival. The Marionette is controlled by a team of 18 actors from the Royal Deluxe Theatre Company in France. And it's the little girl giant's first appearance outside of Europe. Her multi-day show is being called the biggest event ever for the prestigious festival. And when they say biggest, they mean biggest. The crowd were mesmerised by the sheer size and beauty of her.
Very beautiful, absolutely precious. There's nothing more I can say.
The story behind the fantasy theatre performance is that an evil rhino dug its way from Africa through to Chile and was startled by some copper miners, which caused it to run crazy through the town. Right. Well, that's it for this episode. See you next time for A Very Kooky Countdown.